for instance, with the delivery of materials and lateness of the people conducting the elections and all that. And some of it was based on lack of security because some thugs took over in some places. And even yesterday I read that they canceled, they're not going to conduct elections in about 8 constituencies in Bayelsa, stuff like that. So I would like to see them coordinate their logistics better today and make sure that they deliver as they did in the presidential election.
One of the things that will be coming to the fore is the expectation of the electorate. I mean, you already talked about one. They want them to be on time.
Right.
It would seem that certain issues came up at the polling units last time. But every time, year in, year out, I beg your pardon, every 4 years, we try to take the electorate through what to expect, just how the, the map or that INEC has drawn, you should see in the polling units. Yes, you should be able to thumbprint for your candidates in secrecy, and that one is, is sacrosanct, so to speak. But now there's also the question of result sheets. Just yesterday, the INEC spokesperson was addressing the question of whether or not the members of the electorate can ask to see the result sheet, because that trouble came up in some states.
Yes.
Where the resident electoral commissioner said, I distributed result sheets with ballot papers, sensitive materials at the same time, and for reasons best known to some of his ward officers, the result sheets were not present at the polling unit. Are there some of the things that the electorate should be expecting, in your opinion?
Yes, I think so. I believe so very strongly. How can you not have available result sheets if you want people to vote and believe and understand that their votes are going to count? Because I think what's behind all this is that, you vote, you cast your votes and you go away, and they have a separate result. They have a prepared result sheet.
But INEC says that's not in the place of the electorate. Would you say that the trust level, between the electorate and INEC has been enhanced, seeing what we saw last week, or do you think that it's come down?
Well, I don't think it's come down, basically. But I think that at this point in time, at this stage in our democracy, I think they should be as transparent as possible. And if people want to see the result sheets before they cast their votes, let them see it. Reassure them that, there's no hanky-panky behind the scenes. It's not such a difficult thing to do. Let them see the result sheets, and then let them go ahead and vote.
Mr. Mukeri, if I pick up this sheet and I tell you that's your result sheet, you look at it,
and
then you walk away. What guarantees that I won't change
There
it?
are no guarantees. But
Fantastic.
what we're talking about now, right, it's the psychology behind it, really. Let them give them the confidence. At least let's start from that level. Like you quite rightly said, there's nothing stops you from changing it, and nothing stops a lot of things from going wrong.
Okay, Mr. Nnaji, let's bring you in here. Do you agree with that about showing them the result sheet? Would that make any difference?
Well, if if you are not intent cheating the child on the price of a product, you will encourage him to compare prices in the same market. That is to underscore transparency on your own side. And yes, by law, it's not all the time you pursue your right. Sometimes you do so to your own detriment. If you see a trailer coming on your own lane, you cannot be quoting traffic law. Or else you go and discuss that with your great-grandfather later. But you can keep aside when it passes. At a more opportune time, you can lecture the man, this is what's supposed to be done. And you cannot pluck your oranges as they ripe. Otherwise, you fall from the tree. It's your right to pluck all your oranges. But some of the ripened ones are at the tail end of the leaves that you cannot climb and pluck them. It still underscores the fact that you cannot always insist on your right. The law gives them the right not to. They have a discretion. The law didn't say don't, but the law deprived the right from the voters from asking for. But it did not deprive the discretion if they are intent on doing credible things. From saying, just like in a WAEC exam, in those days, if you were sitting for GCE or whatever, they'll bring the question papers, London GC in those days, they'll show you how sealed the thing is, show everybody. Right. There was no law saying that they had to do that, but to show that the papers had not been tampered with, the question papers, this is it. Then they will open it in your presence. With that, the discussion will now be with your answer sheet and the question papers, not grumbling that somebody else has taken undue advantage. So, in answer to your question, having laid this foundation, there's nothing wrong in, even if they had to show it. Gentlemen, especially those who came early, this is the result sheets.
And the party agents
and the party agents. Look at the even though the law says that, but because we are insisting on transparency, this is it. Anybody who joins the queue later, raising the issue, some people there will say they had already, and that helps to douse. You know, when there is this kind of contest, when there is a mutually exclusive possibility that the winner will take all, there is mutual distrust. Yes. You understand? Nothing can, it is structural. So no preachment can change that. So the best an umpire can do is not to be drawn into the arena of the contest in the sense of being seen as partial.
The reason we asked this question is because in Lagos 2 weeks ago, we did notice that in some areas, the ballot papers were not even present. But the electorate went ahead, trusting that when they were done with accreditation, the ballot papers would be sent. In some cases, the ballot papers never came. They came the following day, but the electorate were very proactive, and you know they had taken note, they're taking numbers, and they knew who was where at what particular point in time. In some other cases, it was very, very minute report, but some people said that the ballot papers never showed up. Now, in some other cases, you know, they claim that the results after the elections, they were written on a plain sheet of paper. And they took that as a matter of trust. They were satisfied that the elections went transparently in their areas, and they went home. But in some other areas, you saw what happened in Rivers State, where the result sheet was asked for immediately. The governor got to the polling unit, and INEC said that was totally, you know, out of place. Yes. But we also saw later on what happened with the rec in Edo State, who talked about result sheets not being present at polling units, and we saw how contentious the results were in Edo State. So do you think that that level of awareness has helped the level of trust we've seen between the electorate and the umpire?
In Lagos here, you see, Lagos is a bit different from many other locations. There's a level of enlightenment based on the preponderance of media presence, so that any pin that dropped on this election was picked. You know, unlike many other locations where people didn't even have the opportunity of being effectively enlightened on even certain processes or what they ought to know. The point we're making here is that if you were part of a process and you took note and you saw the results written on sheet and it tallies with what you observed, there will be no need for argument. Even though statutorily you were supposed to.
Sorry, we'll come back and take off from there. We'll just we need to go on a quick break now. We'll return shortly.
Support the Nigerian police in the maintenance of peace and order, and also supporting INEC in the conveyance of electoral materials to the riverine areas where they cannot be able to access them on land. But our involvement does not end there. When we convey the materials, we also ensure that there is no untoward activities that will disrupt the smooth conduct of the elections within those areas. We are fully prepared. As at yesterday, I addressed the men, officers and men, and we have almost a company on standby within the bay to support the police where the need arises. But all our water, riverine assets, our boats, our small crafts are going to be deployed in all the creeks to ensure smooth flow of the electoral materials. And then we are going to deploy our capital assets into the territorial waters Average Nigerian does not need to be afraid of us, the security personnel.